everybody? Welcome to Under the Yard Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs.
And I'm David Woldingen.
And we are going to continue with our series, The 5 Biggest Questions Facing Mizzou Football in 2022. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today, we're looking at question 3 on our countdown. Can Missouri stop the run with their defensive line? And David, we're talking about stopping the run. We're focusing on the defensive line because, frankly, I think both of us have a decent amount of confidence in Chad Bailey and Tyron Hopper, the transfer from Florida at linebacker. I think Mizzou might be pretty solid there.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be fun to watch, in my opinion, especially with our revamped and healthy D-backs as well to help out. I think if our D-line can hold their own, the linebackers and D-backs will be able to flow wherever they go and fill the rest of the gaps that are missing. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and on this defensive line for Missouri, I think if you're looking for stability, I think you look for you look at defensive end. And that right there, you're looking at Trajan Jeffcoat and you're looking at Isaiah McGuire. Both big-time factors, particularly in the second half of the season. And I think that's your continuity and where you start and build your defensive line around, I think.
Yeah, to continue on that talk, not only those two, but we got to talk about the other Hopper brother, Tyrone.
Yes.
He's transferring in as well. So we got both brothers are coming in, so it's going to be kind of cool. And he had extensive playing time at North Carolina too. So he'll be able to make an impact. If he doesn't make the starting rotation, he'll definitely be in the rotation to play as a backup to give the relief. And as we all know, offense and especially defensive line, you need as much depth as you can to rotate those guys through and keep them fresh. Another one of those guys you could talk about.
Keep it a St. Louis flavor on it, Travion Ford.
Thank you. I was trying to remember his name.
Yeah, Travion Ford from Luther North.
I feel bad about saying that, but I mean, he played 4 games last year. He was a redshirt freshman. Actually made somewhat of an impact. I think he will be in the rotation as well, if not vying for pushing the 2 starters to try earn a starting spot, which is really good for our defensive end depth. Moving on to our D-line, our D tackles, though, it gets a little sketchier because we had a lot of people leave, Eric.
Yeah, so you're looking at defensive tackle. You had Kobe Whiteside and Akil Byers, who graduated, and then also Makai Wingo, who was a stud as a freshman. By the end of the season, there are those who might say that he was the best defensive lineman Missouri had as a freshman. He's now at LSU, which is super unfortunate for Missouri and Missouri fans. One freshman who might be in the running to replace him is Marquise Gracial. He is incoming true freshman out of St. Charles High School. I don't know, asking a true freshman to play on the line, that's tough. Makai Wingo did it. Can Gracial do it? I don't know. He certainly has the size. He's 6'4", 331. So that part, not a question with him. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait and see with him. Some guys that I think might be able to make a bigger impact right off the get-go. You're looking at Darius Robinson as probably your most sure starter. I'm very high on Jaden Jernigan, the transfer from Oklahoma State. He wasn't a starter at Oklahoma State, but he was kind of that third guy. While he never started, he certainly got a lot of snaps and a lot of meaningful game action for the Cowboys a season ago. So I think he's going to be the second starter personally. We'll see what happens there. Missouri also got Christian Williams. He's a transfer from Baylor at defensive tackle. I think he's going to be more of a depth piece, just kind of give guys a 2 or 3 play blow. I think he'll play 15, 20 snaps a game. But defensive line, as you were saying, you need to have a rotation of guys so that when your starter gets tired and has to come out for a little bit, the talent level doesn't drop off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think there's a couple other guys. One who I'm going to mention is coming in is a freshman from Overland Park, Jalen Marshall. I don't know if he'll get significant playing time, but I do think he might get in a couple of 2 or 3 games for experience. He might be one of those guys they end up redshirting, but at the same time, he could come in and do well enough to earn a spot in the rotation as well. So one of the key things I think for the line, especially when stopping the run, is having enough guys to rotate through to keep them fresh.
Yes.
So having 15 D linemen, that includes D ends and D tackles, is a huge bonus for Mizzou if they can all stay healthy.
Yeah, speaking of staying healthy, one guy who did not stay healthy a season ago, his true freshman year, is Kai Montgomery, former 4-star recruit as a defensive end from Indiana. He's put on enough weight that he is thought to be, looking at defensive tackle as opposed to defensive end. He blew out his knee, missed all of 2021. He should be back and ready to go. I'm curious to see what kind of an impact he might have, because we've mentioned all these guys, but they're all new. There's not really a set pecking order on the interior of Missouri's defensive line.
Which I think is a really good thing because it bodes competition for earning the playing time.
Yes.
Speaking of all new too, let's look at our coaches for the D line. Not coach, but coaches. If you guys remember, halfway through the season last year, we fired our D-line coach and Al Davis took over. Well, he's still with the team. They didn't get rid of him. In fact, he's running the defensive tackles. The interesting part about this is Mizzou decided to hire Indiana defensive line coach Kevin Peoples as well, and he's going to be taking over the D ends. I think it's really cool to keep an eye on this because I think it will really help the development of both the D ends and D tackles because they're kind of different positions, and it allows them to focus specifically on developing those each group of players separately. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that continues this year.
Yeah, it's super rare. And also the story behind that is Al Davis just kind of raised his hand and said, "Hey, look, Coach Drake, I could use help," which is, that's a lot of humility on Davis's part. Not the most common thing, humility, when you're talking about college football coaches.
But it also shows wisdom too.
Yes.
And willing to adjust, which really makes me think our D-line is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think there's potential for it to be pretty good.
And if the D-line, like I said earlier, does their job appropriately, it takes the pressure off the linebackers and it takes the pressure off our defensive backs because that means they're pressuring the quarterback as well and allowing the coverage to do its job. So really with our defense, and if we want it to stay SEC level, we need to have a solid defensive line.
Yes.
Anyway, that's it for number 3 in our list. Number 2 is going to be the offensive line. We'll have that for you next. Thank you for watching.